Shortly after I received notice of this award, I was reflecting upon the three people that I was so fortunate to represent in this case, during the past year. Karen Trusty, Christine Knopf, and Ricky Day. And I remembered a book that I had read a while back by an author, a modern day philosopher who is now deceased, named Joseph Campbell. Campbell believed that it is the daily lives of heroes that makes our civilization what it is today, and that we are all capable of being heroes, like the three individuals I was so fortunate to represent. Like the woman who learned at a young age the skilled trade of her father, welding. And while other girls were playing with dolls, she was learning how to weld from her father. And then as she grew older, she wanted to be admitted to the Plumbers and Pipe Fitters Union in San Diego and was the first female admitted. And she's so good at welding that she now teaches twice a month welding to those who are apprentice in the Plumbers and Pipe Fitters Union. And then one day she was injured on the job by a negligent co-worker and lost part of her finger, an important finger to her and her art, which was welding. It made her not as good at her work as she was before, and she was entitled to some form of compensation. But the defendant said it was her fault, not the negligent workers. And at that stage, she decided to stand up. And as much as she hated going to court and hated suing, she decided that she had to stand up. And she did stand up, and we went to court on Karen's case, and she was very, very nervous. She was so nervous, she made me nervous. And when the jury went out, she cried. And when the jury came back, she cried. And I didn't know if it was because of the wonderful award we received or the fact that it was just all over with. She is one of Joseph Campbell's heroes with 1,000 faces. I was fortunate enough to represent another young woman, a 31-year-old single woman who was on her way to work one morning on Interstate 15, headed north. Things were looking wonderful for her because she had a wonderful job at a time in her career when everything was shiny and bright before her. And headlong towards her came a security truck driving 60 miles per hour on the wrong side of the interstate and hit her head on. She was nearly killed, but recovered rather well, primarily due to the airbags that were in her car. And she returned to work and came to my office and asked for our help. And we took on the representation of Christine Knopf. What Christine didn't know at the time we started this case was the opposition, despite the fact that it appeared to be clear liability and that she had significant damages that needed to be compensated. The opposition in this case was the Golden Eagle. Now, those of you who are experienced lawyers know who the Golden Eagle is. It's a mascot of a very infamous insurance company here in San Diego. She didn't know what the Golden Eagle was, so she asked me, and I gave her the street definition. I said, the Golden Eagle is a bird that eats dollars and craps pennies. Like many of you, I have at times wanted to kill that bird. But what I really wanted to do in this case was just get it around the neck and choke it real good. fortunately, in this case, Karen's case, Christine's case went forward, and I asked a number of colleagues, the point I want to make, I asked a number of colleagues what her case was worth. She had 2 surgeries, 2 broken arms, medical expenses less than $100,000. And I asked a number of my colleagues, lawyers, what the case was worth, and not a single one said it was a $1 million case. But we demanded $1 million because that was the insurance policy. And I was really concerned that it was not a $1 million case because every lawyer I talked to said it wasn't. But many of the non-lawyers I talked to said it was a $1 million case. And so, with great trepidation, I asked for $1.17 million on her behalf. And just as I suspected, the jury completely rejected my request. They awarded Christine $1.25 million. And that night, the Golden Eagle did more than crap pennies. Folsom Prison is where Ricky Day lived for 10 years. And each and every one of you have a similar distinction with Ricky Day. Because each and every one of you is as innocent of the crimes with which he was charged as he was. Yet he was falsely and improperly convicted. Sent to Folsom Prison and woke up every morning with the realization that he was innocent and had no business being there for 10 years. Can you imagine what it must be like to wake up every morning in a cold, dark, concrete cell knowing that you are innocent and that your family has turned against you, your wife has turned against you, your nation has turned against you. And here you are in prison for 10 years. Fortunately, lawyers got him out and got him released. And I've represented him now for 8 years. And finally this year, the legislature has seen fit to pass a bill that will in some way reasonably compensate him for each and every day he spent in prison. An amount totaling $386,000. Hopefully this month the governor will sign that bill and he will receive some small compensation for what he has endured. Is there any question that Ricky Day is a hero with 1,000 faces?